Hey everyone, Danny Luxray here, and today I want to talk about Boruto Chapter 43. A lot happened from start to finish, from Stardust Chidori to Kashin Koji reappearing, and Boruto and his team were basically pushed through a bunch of situations all within one chapter, but what I want to discuss is Boruto's eye. So in this chapter, like I was saying, Boruto and his team were pushed to their limits, and Momoshiki took matters into his own hands and took over Boruto's body, and one thing that was noticeable while he was taking over Boruto's bodies, aside from the horn that he grew and the markings that came with the karma, was that he had a dojutsu. And one thing I had discussed in my review and talked about is whether it's the Jougan or the Byakugan, and it's easy to just instinctively call it the Jougan because it's in Boruto's body, but because it's Momoshiki who took over, there's also reason to believe that it may be the Byakugan. When you compare it to the Byakugan that we've seen throughout the Naruto series and Boruto, it looks exactly the same, and if you only read the manga where the Jougan has never been directly referenced or stated, we've only seen it in chapter 1, you would immediately think that the eye we saw is the Byakugan. But in this discussion, I wanted to talk to you guys about why it isn't, despite the Byakugan or the Jougan's lack of appearances and references in the manga. So in my review, I said I believe it's the Jougan because it's in Boruto's body and it's in the same exact eye, and his other eye is closed, which I believe highlights the fact that it's the Jougan because Boruto's non-Jougan eye is the one that's closed. Now, one of the major factors debunking this and confirming this is when you compare it to the manga versus comparing it to the anime. Because we've seen the Jougan more in the anime than the manga, this is technically only the second chapter that we've seen it in the manga, whereas in the anime we have lots of small appearances of Boruto using it. And in the multiple anime appearances of the Jougan that we have, Boruto's eye and the sclera are darkened, and in the manga it's not. If I had to come up with a possible theory or reason for this, it could be that Ikimoto forgot to color it in for that first page or panel, but if you look throughout the chapter, I don't think he'd forget to do the same thing multiple times in a row while he has someone look over his chapter, because Kishimoto looks over the chapter, and if they're all working on Boruto, Ikimoto, Kishimoto, and Kodachi, if they're all working on this, I'm sure one of them would notice, hey, in the anime it's dark and in the manga it's not. So this is either a retcon of what the anime's Jougan looks like, or it's meant to be this way. Another possible reason that the sclera isn't colored in could just be that it only looks that way when Boruto activates it, whether it be on accident, like in the multiple times in the anime, or on purpose, like in episode 1 of the anime. The only other reason I see that is highly likely is that Boruto's Jougan in the anime with the darkened sclera is just exclusive to the anime, which we know the Boruto anime works similarly to how the Dragon Ball Super anime worked, where they have the script and they go about it in their own way, and by doing so they take as many creative liberties as they can without trying to completely change the story. Another example I heard from anime or Naruto Explained is basically him comparing it to how Studio or Toei made Vegeta's hair brown in the anime, even though the manga has never portrayed Vegeta's hair as brown in any aspect or mentioned that it was brown, but Toei took it upon themselves to make his hair brown. And this is more than likely what they're doing right now with Boruto's eye. And after looking back at the manga and comparing panels, you can make the argument that in this chapter, Boruto doesn't have the darkened sclera either, while he does in the first episode, which only adds to the fact that this could just be an animation choice by the studio, which looks great in my opinion, but you never know, the next time we see Boruto, he might have the Jougan with the darkened sclera. We'll just have to wait and see. If it was up to me though, I would have left it with the darkened eye, because I think that just looks cooler and it's easier to distinguish from the Byakugan. But I'm guessing Ikimoto didn't want to retcon what he had already written in chapter 1. But to me it just looks too much like the Byakugan when you compare the two. But let me know what you thought of this discussion in the comment section below. And let me know what you think looks better, the Jougan in the anime or the manga. I definitely prefer the anime's design. But let me know what you thought of this chapter and more in the comment section below, and what you thought of this discussion. I'd really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and bye.